everyday witches emerge from the shadows of secrecy. Broom closets are flinging open and witches are taking flight. Whether you are hiding in your cozy closet or flying with pride, stay for a spell as Witchcasting with Theodora Pendragon and her guests share magical moments, stir the cauldron, and debunk misinformation and misconceptions about paganism, witches, and our wonderful world of magic.
Here we are for another episode of Witchcasting with Theodora Pendragon. Today, my special guest is Vanessa Albury. Hello, Vanessa.
Hi, it's so great to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
What would you like to talk about today?
Well, there's this magical experience that most people have never heard of, but that they have access to at all times, called the Akashic Records. And I would love to tell you more about what that is.
Oh, please do.
Okay. Excellent. So what I find is that we run around thinking that we're bodies, right? But the reality is that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. So there's this whole other part of us, like the heat that comes off of our body, this energetic part of us that exists, but that isn't recognized by the world around us. So societal programming, the way that families work, the way that trauma works, the way that all the factors of being human work, they don't really recognize this higher existence that we really are. The access points traditionally are through religion or maybe psychic reading. But the Akashic Records access this information. They call it like a library of information about who you really are, your higher self, your past lives, your future life, your current life, because time and space on the energetic plane are not distinct. They all happen simultaneously. So that's how healing can happen in an instant for anything, really. In an Akashic Records reading, you receive information about this greater part of who you really are. So it's this beautiful experience of being recognized, having someone else acknowledge this part of you that honestly most of us connected with when we were like 4 or 5 years old. You probably have a really special memory of like who you were in that time. Yeah. I know I was running around in my backyard with my dog as my best friend, singing songs at the top of my lungs and just having a blast. And like, that's who I really am, right? Playing in nature, having a blast. But yeah, the reality is that most of the time, the world that we live in doesn't allow us access to that information. So we cut ourselves off from it, really. So in an Akashic Records reading, you get to experience the entirety of who you really are.
And you do those readings for your clients?
Absolutely. I do them for my clients and myself.
Can anybody access those records themselves?
This is a great question. So the reality is, my guides have told me, is that we are always in that information. But the distinction is, can you consciously recognize it? So energetically, it's always there. It's always around you. It's always with you. But to be a reader, you are trained in a lineage of masters. So an Akashic Records reader is distinct from like a psychic reader or other forms of readers by stepping into the energy of a line of ascended masters, just like as a yogini or a yogi practices in a line of masters, and you connect to the energy of your masters in the reading. So it's my spine lights, so like my spine just like lights up as I talk about it, because it's like a very powerful soul connection that you form as a reader with your lineage. So the answer is yes, but not no. Also consciously. If you want to consciously connect, you need a reader. Many people connect with the information through other channels. The record keepers and guides of the Akashic Records have called me the record keeper's transcriptionist. So when I give an Akashic Records reading, I'm literally transcribing the energetic information through words through my mouth. So some readers receive visions, and then like you ask a question, they close their eyes and they come back and they describe the vision that they saw. But I literally receive the words. So I'm a clairaudient, claircognizant channel of the Akashic Records. It's a lot to take in.
So we have divination, like tarot reading.
Mm-hmm.
How does this differ from a psychic or tarot reading?
With tarot, of course, you have the instrument of the cards. So with psychic readings and tarot readings, the energies that you're reading could be any energies. In the Akashic Records, it's specifically the Akasha, which is the energetic field around a human. The Buddhist term Akasha is like ether, like one of the 5 elements. It's the 5th element, ether. So a psychic can channel the information of the energy of who you are, or the energy of the booth that you're sitting in, or the person down the street. Like the psychic reading can channel all kinds of energies. But the Akashic Records is a very specific kind of energy, and it's directly your higher self, your highest version of you, that information in the library of who you are really energetically. So that's the distinction. Does that make sense?
Yes. You have coaching programs. Tell us a little bit about those.
Okay, great. I'd love to. So through the Akashic Records, I've come to understand that it's a great healing. Every time actually you receive an Akashic Records reading, you receive a healing in your body and your being, and in terms of who you really are, because you're connecting to that part of you. Somebody else is mirroring that reality of who you are back to you. So every time you listen to a recording, even, you're receiving a healing. And I noticed that with my clients, they feel seen. There's beautiful tears of joy and gratitude that come in the readings, but then they go back into their lives and they have a hard time integrating the information that they've received about who they really are. Because I channel very specific information. Like I have a client that I'm working with now who in June had her 3rd or 4th reading with me, and the message was similar to the messages she had received before, but this time with a little more oomph, saying that the job that you're in is not your right job for you. It's not the place for you. You're meant to be creating, not creating other people's designs. And it's got a timeline. It's got a very finite timeline. So either you get out of the job or the job will get you out. Like you'll get out of the job one way or the other. You get to either author it or you're going to get kicked out. And 3 weeks later, she was made redundant from the job. But because she had that reading, she was already thinking about, well, what am I supposed to be doing? Where should I go? And in the reading, it was like, you need to travel, Italy, France. So she'd already decided, okay, in October, I'm going to quit my job. In November, I'm going to be traveling the world. It just came sooner than she had planned. But because she had that reading, she was prepared. She already knew exactly what she was going to do. But so anyway, to support people who receive that reading, receive that information, but don't necessarily have the infrastructure in their lives to support that version of themselves, I've created a 7-week program called the Dream Life Accelerator. And it's a really lovely, intimate experience. Me and 7 clients go through a 7-week process of my 4 steps to getting the love you deserve, which is my masterclass. So in my masterclass, I share those 4 steps. And in the 7-week program, we actually move through them together. Because the reality is that self-love is the basis for anything you're trying to create in your life, be it love, be it money, be it, career move. The deeper you learn to love yourself, and so you got to learn how to know yourself before you can learn how to love yourself. But the deeper you go there, the more you're able to magnetize to you everything you want. So my clients manifest love, they manifest partnership. And in the 7-week program, I help support them in integrating that new reality into their life.
This masterclass, Get the Love You Deserve, would benefit anybody, because isn't that what we all want?
Absolutely. We all just want to be loved in the end. And the truth is that, you know, people hear the term love and self-love and they kind of write it off like, I know what that is. But the reality is that it's a cycle. So no matter how well you know yourself, no matter how well you love yourself, there's always a deeper level to go to, because we are infinite beings having a physical experience. So if you're infinite, there's no end to what is there to love, right? I find that term gets, self-love gets rejected or like poo-pooed a little too hastily, but really it's extremely powerful. And I walk my students through, or my clients through, a very powerful 4-step program to building the foundation of self-love, working on self-discovery, which again is an endless process, creating patterns and habits around that spiritual growth, and then really stepping into the journey of, deeper self-knowing and deeper self-discovery. I also think it's interesting that sometimes when people see the name of the masterclass, Get the Love You Deserve, they immediately assume that it's only about love life. They're like, oh, I have that, I'm married. I'm like, that's not what it's about. I mean, you can manifest partnership through this masterclass for sure. That information is in there. But, just because you're married doesn't mean your love life stops, right? Or your self-love life, especially. I mean, I would say that's when you need to step it up next level, because you've got somebody else in your energy space at all times. Have you had a psychic reading before?
I've had several throughout my life. I just love them. I'm addicted to psychic readings.
Oh, you are? What would you say is the most value you get out of something like that, a reading?
I would say, some people will say, I don't want to know my future. I want to know my future so I can prepare myself. I want to know what obstacles are in my way.
I like that. And do you find that you're drawn to the same psychics, or do you move around?
I have gone to only a handful, and they've all been referrals by people who have recommended them. I don't call a sign. I don't go online. They're only people who have been referred to me.
I like that. That's how most of my clients come to me, through referral as well.
Uh-huh.
It's a beautiful process. Yeah, this idea of knowing the future, I think it's a really, it's an intriguing thing to ponder, because really we only ever have now, right? There's really only ever now. So the future is actually never here. It's never coming. It's only ever now. And yet, in your Akashic Records, in that field, all the information of who you are is there, available right now. So you eclipse this idea that it's like coming. Whatever obstacles are coming, they're already here, right? And in a session, you can heal that immediately. It's really powerful. Should I tell you about some of my experiences with my clients?
That would be great.
Okay. Well, so I used to give what I called mini readings. When I was first starting out, I would do these short 1-question readings. So whenever you get a reading with me, a full Akashic Records reading, there's a prayer that I go into, and then I channel the messages. And we have 8 to 10 questions that we ask on your behalf in the session. but it always starts with opening remarks. So the record keepers and guides say whatever they want to say to you. We just give them the mic, right? And so I made they gave me the gift of channeling mini readings for perfect strangers. So I'd done about 150, 200, maybe more mini Akashic Records readings where I just channel like the opening remarks. So it's whatever they want to tell you for your highest best to know right now. One of my favorite readings was this woman in Miami. And I knew nothing about her. I didn't know if she was straight or bi or lesbian or whatever. All I knew was Miami female. And the message was, tell that man in your life, no, thank you. I'm done here. I'm complete. Godspeed. So when I deliver the message, I always deliver the message and then a digestion. So in a full reading, we do the digestion together. But in these mini readings, it was just a recording that I would send to people, 10 to 20-minute long recording. So in the digestion, I was like, are you straight? Because, I don't know. It turns out just that morning, that the same morning that I did the reading, she was considering the guy that she had dated 2 years ago as her potential baby daddy. I had no idea. And the message was clear. Definitely not that guy.
Not that guy.
Not that guy. I have another client. She got maybe 3 or 4 mini Akashic Records readings. And through that process, I guided her to her twin flame. And she's now living with her twin flame in California.
Oh, that gives me goosebumps.
It's pretty powerful. I happen to be on a twin flame journey myself. So what I find with psychics and with even Akashic Records readers, we're human, right? We're human channeling divine information. You're only able to deliver that which the capacity of your mind can imagine. So if somebody's giving you a reading about love and they don't have the capacity to imagine a twin flame union, they probably can't channel that information very accurately. It's very interesting.
For those who may not know, can you explain what the twin flame union is?
Absolutely. The concept is that we're each born as a twin on a soul blueprint level. So you're not a physical twin the way that fraternal or paternal twins are twins physically, but it's that your soul has a twin in a separate body. There's a divine masculine and a divine feminine, but that's not gendered based on your anatomy. So you can have twin flames that are of any genders coming together. And the idea is that this person is you. You and this person are the same. And so they're going to trigger all the ways that you're not in union with yourself and with God within you. So it's a spiritual process of ascension and cleansing to acknowledge that you're in a twin flame union and then to move towards it. There's a lot of upsets, a lot of upheaval, but it's a really beautiful, powerful experience where you super speed your healing across the board, physically, emotionally, financially, all the ways that you can imagine. All of that gets cleaned up as you move towards your union. I doubt anyone else would explain it that way, but that's how I explain it.
So this could also be a lifelong journey.
It absolutely is. Yeah, because we're infinite beings, right? And so with twin flames, as you do your healing work, you are drawn closer to your twin in the physical. Some people believe that twin flames are toxic because they're very triggering. They show you everywhere where you're not healed. And then you either decide to heal there or you decide to stay triggered. It's up to you. But as you heal there, you're drawn to each other like magnets. It's miraculous is going to be the word that I use for it because it exceeds the imagination for how two people can be together.
Would you say they recognize each other instantly?
On a soul level, absolutely. On a conscious level, Also, absolutely, but the reactions will be different. Like the first time that I met my twin flame, he literally ran down the street away from me. This is somebody walking down the street, and I'm just like, hi. And he's like, huh?
I recognize this woman.
Yeah. I don't know what he saw, but what I saw was like, oh, he's showing me everywhere I'm running away from myself. Anywhere where I was bypassing where I needed to heal, it was illuminated very quickly. And my life went through immediate upheaval. So when you meet your twin flame, it's often a catalyst to shift your whole life. And you only meet this person when you've called them in, either consciously or, you do it consciously. You don't necessarily have to know that you're calling in your twin flame, but you just know that you're calling in the most powerful divine love possible for you. That's enough, to call in your twin flame. And then when you meet that person, it's a complete, I'm going to say shattering of how you thought life was. So I went through bankruptcy. I went through eviction from my apartment. I went through, rejection from my family, not every family member, but my father. Everything just upheaved. Now that I'm on the other side of all that, I'm very grateful for it, because suddenly my life looks very different than it did 3, even 4 years ago. And I'm having the most beautiful experience I can imagine.
Are you still with your twin flame?
We're not in union at this time, but we are in contact. So you're always with that person. They're always within you. Yes, in a sense, but we're still working our way towards each other. It can take a while. As you said, it can take a lifetime. I'm on the fast track personally, because I'm super committed to having my highest best experience in this lifetime. And I'm committed to that experience for my clients as well. I pretty much only attract the kind of people who are really gung-ho for having a beautiful, magical life experience. So I coach people, as I said, in living their dream life, and I am living my dream life. I'm an eco-friendly visual artist. I've been a visual artist for 22 years as a professional. I've shown in museums around the world. I am the Nyfaniska Deutsche Bank Fellow for 2022. I have accolades in this field massively. And now I'm combining my spiritual gifts, my spiritual tools, with my art tools, and I'm creating healing for the oceans through working with scientists and underrepresented artists, creating a global exhibition, the first of its kind, to rewild or repopulate filter species in the world's waterways and oceans. It's a really beautiful, powerful experience, and it brings me all over the world.
That's fascinating.
Love it.
So water is essential to healing our relationship with the planet. Can you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in the simplest of terms, our bodies are at least 70% water. Some people will argue, some scientists will say it's quite a bit more, but very conservatively, we are at least 70% water. If we want to take care of ourselves, we have to understand that the water around us, the water in the air, the water in the oceans, it's all part of who we are. Every other breath that we take is thanks to the ocean. Even in landlocked Texas, wherever anyone's located, every other breath you take is thanks to the ocean. But how do we treat the ocean? We overfish it. We dump toxic waste into it. We abuse plastic, and it ends up collecting in the oceans, raising temperatures, increasing, changing the pH balance of the ocean, and suffocating the sea life. And you need these filter species like corals, oysters, and mussels to maintain the balance of the ecosystem that the entire rest of the ocean life lives with or lives upon. So without these filter species, you lose shelter for fish nurseries for where fish estuaries or fish are born, which then decreases the food for the larger fish, which just decreases the food for whales, for example. On a spiritual level, we have to understand that we are one with everything. And the way that we treat anything in our existence, anything in our life, is how we're actually treating ourselves. So the way that you interact with water is going to tell you how you interact with yourself. If you're always drinking out of a plastic bottle, that's a problem. If you ever litter, that's a problem. It's like the way that we litter around our cities, it's a travesty. Even the plastic banners, the signs that you see everywhere, those are made of plastic. So when it rains, the microplastics wash off those signs and billboards into the soil. This is why we have a percentage of plastic in all of us, because we have abused that material and it has seeped into the water system. And a lot of spiritual leaders like Master Sri Akarshana, Sadhguru, two people that I follow, I work with Master Sri Akarshana personally, talk about a future where water is going to become even more and more important. Clean water is going to become harder and harder to get our hands on. It's really important to right now do something different, change the way that we relate to the planet and the way that we relate to water, so that we can come back into union with the earth, because we are part of the earth. We are earth, each one of us. All water is one water, and it flows through us and to us.
Let's talk about a few things that the audience can learn from. I'd like to ask you, how do you face fear of failure and success? We all have fears.
Yeah. Fear of success is one of my favorite. Because you think that you just want success, so that you should just have it. But that can be even scarier than failure, because then who are you going to be once you have what you want, right? One of my favorite tools is the mirror exercise. It's a very simple yet very complex in the execution healing tool, where any upset you have, you mirror that upset into yourself and then reintegrate that part of yourself with love back into who you are. So with fear of a failure, for example, you can mirror that upset before you get to the event. So let's say you have a big promotion that you're up for at work, and you're afraid of being rejected. You're afraid of getting fired instead of promoted, whatever it is. You can take that scenario and literally plug it into the mirror exercise and heal that possibility before you even get into the room. Fear of success is really just a fear of loving yourself more deeply, so deeply that you become someone beyond your imagination, beyond the capacity of your imagination right now as you are. I definitely get nervous before I have a big opportunity. I apply to a lot of grants. I do a lot of public speaking. I get a little nervous before each time. But one of my favorite tools is to immediately ground myself. I check in with that part of myself that's afraid. I go to that part of me within and I invite God. I use the term God, but you can use source energy, universe. I invite the creative source of all life into me. And I go to that part of me and I just hold her. And I choose that she's grounded. And I also have a very powerful grounding meditation that I walk myself and my clients through on a regular basis. Because grounding back onto the planet will allow you to release that energy of fear into the earth. And it's just like how plants and people exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide. When we release our fears or our negative energies into the planet knows exactly what to do with it, to bring it back into a positive energy, like a big magic stone, planet Earth.
If you could get everyone in the world to do one thing, what would that be?
I love this question because I have a very simple answer for you. Switch from regular toilet paper to bamboo toilet paper. Now, I know that might sound kind of pedestrian, but hear me out. It's actually very spiritual. This is all about our relationship to the planet, our relationship to coming back into harmony, living in harmony with the planet, the way that people lived before the Industrial Revolution. Bamboo toilet paper takes about 90% less water to create than regular toilet paper. There's no bleach involved to get it white, and it also disintegrates much more easily into the toilet. Plus, it's made of bamboo, which we all know is very soft if you've ever touched anything made of bamboo. But deeper than that, every time you go to the bathroom, every time you wipe yourself, you're reminded that you've done something that moves you one step closer to harmony with the planet. It's my gateway drug for being green, for going eco-friendly, because you reinforce it every time you go. And you go every day. Even if you have a bidet, you have toilet paper. So not only are you making that shift on a personal level, but then you're making that shift on a planetary level, because as more households switch from regular toilet paper made from trees to bamboo toilet paper, the margin of profit for the big toilet paper companies then decreases. And once their profits get eaten into at 5-10%, they're going to be really interested to bring that profit back into their pockets. And then boom, the entire industry experiences a sea change immediately. Right now, that's my favorite tip for everyone. It's spiritual because it's aligning us with the planet, getting our lives back in harmony with the planet. It's reducing our intake of water, because even though you're not drinking the water that's used to make toilet paper, it's still being used for you to have that toilet paper. So you want to reduce everywhere in your life that you have excessive use of water or abuse of water. So bamboo toilet paper. And there's some really great companies like Reel, which is REEL, available at Target. There's another company called Who Gives a Crap, based out of the UK. And yeah, they also have paper towels and tissues. And then my personal favorite is a company called Lord Tush, which is based out of Baltimore, Maryland. It's two Black women that are sisters who created the company during the pandemic. What I love about that company is that, one, it's family owned and run, and two, it's also supporting BIPOC businesses, because when you learn more about what the planet needs and going green and the effects of climate change, you realize that the greatest impact of the disasters happening all around the world are on Black and brown communities. So we want to build up the strength, the financial strength of Black and brown communities all around the world. Whenever I spend my money, I only spend it on things that are eco-friendly, locally sourced, and companies that are owned and run by marginalized communities. For me, that's an expression of love. It's an expression of self-love, in fact.
So you have given us a little peek into what you offer clients. Tell us how we can find you online and in social media.
Of course. On Instagram is where I'm the most active. It's at Vanessa Albury Official, and that's Vanessa, 1 N, 2 S's, and my last name, Albury. And my eco art project, Coral Projects, is on Instagram as well, at coral.projects. You can also go to my websites, which are coralprojects.com and the Akashic Records Reader.com. So Akashic is AKASHIC recordsreader.com. I'm also on Facebook, but those are the easiest ways to find me.
I'll also put all those links in the episode notes.
I would love to offer your listeners a special offer for joining your podcast. Anyone who books a full Akashic Records reading with Witchcasting as their DM for me, I'll give them 15% off a full Akashic Records reading.
That sounds like a deal. So they will DM you, preferably through Instagram, and all they have to do is mention that they heard this episode on Witchcasting with Theodora Pendragon, and you will offer them the 15% discount.
Yep, good for 30 days after the airing of the episode. Yep.
Okay. That sounds like a fantastic deal.
I think it is. It's a magical experience that I feel like everyone should have in their lifetime.
Hey, I'm all about magical experiences. And I thank you so much for sharing your magic with us. Your magic really shines.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure. I always love talking about this stuff because it taps in, to that part of who I am and who you are and who we all are that we don't get to talk about in everyday life on a regular basis. I see that changing in the near future, but it's important to acknowledge these parts of ourselves.
It is changing for the better. Thank you, Vanessa, for joining me. And everybody, she's going to give a 15% discount if you DM her and mention that you heard this episode on Witchcasting with Theodora Pendragon.
That's right.
Thank you, Vanessa, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Blessed be.
Thank you for joining us for Witchcasting with Theodora Pendragon. Have a burning question or have a topic you'd love Theodora and her guests to discuss on the show? Contact her through Instagram at Theodora Pendragon. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And help us spread the word by leaving us a rating and review and sharing it with your friends. See you next time, and may your magic always shine.